What's up, everybody? It's your boy Shaun P, and welcome to Real Talk.
If you ever fell down,
you know that I would pick you up.
and I know you do the same for me too.
And there ain't nothing in this whole world that can ever break our love.
You're all that I need to get through.
Together in love, together in life, never alone. I got you by my side, walking by faith, never by sight. We're the pure voice, and we'll be alright. Together in love, together in life, never alone. I got you by my side, walking by faith, never by sight. We're the pure voice, and we'll be alright.
For those of you who follow me on social media, on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, you know that this is going to be my last year, or this was my last year at Life Academy. It's a school that I've been working for the last 3 years. You know, usually that's not a really big deal. I mean, teachers leave all the time. You move on, you know, you get a promotion, you know, something else has come up. But that wasn't the case. I didn't necessarily leave on my own terms. I was actually asked not to come back by the administration. So I kind of want to dive into that because the way that it went down was, to me, was very unfair and unjust. And when I asked questions as to why I wasn't being asked back, no one seemed to have an answer. So let's just go back with the history of the school. Shadell had told me about this new school that had been opening up, and I wanted to see what it was all about. So I went to interview, I did a demo lesson, and I fell in love with the network. It wasn't the school that I was going to be working at, but it was part of the network that I was going to be working at. I saw how the kids interacted in the hallways. Things weren't so militant, you know, like my other job was. So I loved that aspect. I loved, you know, the classrooms. Everything was bright. It was full of life, and I just enjoyed it so much. So after I did my demo lesson, you know, they told me right away that they wanted me on the team. I wanted to come on as a music teacher because that's just always been a passion of mine. Y'all know that music is life in this family. So, you know, I wanted to teach music, but they didn't have it in the budget for it. So when I was talking to the principal at the time, we talked for hours, and she told me that if I came on board and taught, you know, a regular class for a year, the following year I could basically write my own ticket. I could do whatever I wanted to do. So I said, okay, that's what's up. So I wound up teaching 4th grade for my first year, and that year was tough. Not only were we founding a school, so starting a new school, but we were actually turning around a previously existing school. And it was rough because a lot of those kids, they were severely under grade level. There was a lot of behavioral issues because of just how the culture was those previous years that those kids were there. But with the help of my fearless teaching partner and my homie for life, Miss Rachel Dukes, we were able to, you know, turn things around for some of those kids. A lot of those kids, actually, kids who weren't used to doing work, you know, they had tremendous growth. Even with kids, you know, being on kindergarten and 1st grade reading levels in 4th grade, we still made tremendous growth and tremendous relationships with those kids, and they still come back and bug us to this day. So shout outs to all of my Morehouse kids from that year. Even in that year while I was co-teaching, I was able to teach music to the upper grade kids. First part of the day, for the first, I don't know, 6 or 7 blocks, you know, I was in the classroom, and then for the last block of the day, I taught music. Doing that even made my thirst for teaching music even greater because, you know, I wasn't able to do all the things that I wanted to do. But one thing that I did do that was awesome was I was inspired to write the school song. You all know that I am a songwriter. I love music. I love writing songs. I love composing songs. And I actually started writing this school song when I was at my previous job. And it started off, the first two lines, I remember like it was yesterday, it just came to me. Here we are to get an education, learn our ABCs and 1, 2, 3s. So that was like the first two lines, and I had that, and you know, I was trying to see where I could go with it and try to write this song while I was at the other school, and it never came. It never came for whatever reason. You have to be inspired to write music. And you know, when I got to Life Academy, you know, those same two lines were still going in my head. And one day when I was just on my prep, eating lunch or whatever, the rest of the song just came to me, and I just began just writing. And I was pretty, you know, I thought it was dope. So I played it, I sang it for the kid, and she was like, wow, they're gonna love this. So I started teaching it to the kids. I taught it to my fourth graders at first, and they loved it. They loved it. After we rehearsed it a couple times, I invited our principals into one of my classes so that they could hear it. They were blown away. I mean, at the end of the song, they were crying, they were hugging. They're like, oh, Mr. P, this is so beautiful. And, you know, they made it the school song, and we called it This Is Life. And it just became a part of the ritual. Year 2 is coming up, and, you know, we're talking about what we're gonna do next year. They already know that I want to do music, but they needed some strong teachers on the first grade team. So, you know, my manager brought me in to a meeting and said, I know you want to teach music, but hear me out. We have this first grade cohort coming up, and we need some really strong teachers to teach. Would you consider it? And I said, I don't know. I didn't really come to do that. You know, I really just want to teach music. But then I stopped myself because the support there was so awesome that I felt that, you know, I would be able to do that, you know, with the support of my manager and administration. So I told them that, and they were cool with it. So I went on the first grade team, you know, because I'm a team player. So I kind of put to the side what I wanted to do, and I taught first grade. And what was crazy is, you know, I never taught first grade before, and it was the time of my life. Not so much in a good way. I mean, we struggled, and we struggled, and we struggled. But as I got myself together, we wound up having some of the highest math scores in the network. My kids, in their reading, they grew. 90% of my kids met their reading goals. And, you know, our ELA scores were on par with the network average. So it was a really successful year. On top of being the special events coordinator, special events coordinator with my homie Courtney. And even during that time, the network, not just Life Academy, but the network, they thought that I was such a great teacher that they filmed one of my read alouds so that they can put it on the network website so that prospective employees could watch my tape and take notes and learn from my tape, and so that they could be prepared for their interviews and for their demo lessons. That was first grade, and it was cool. The name of my class was the Howard Bisons, Howard University, and my Bisons, we turned up. You know, we beat the test, we grew brains, and we had a lot of fun. So as year 2 is winding down, we need to figure out what's going on with next year. They knew I wanted to teach music, but they weren't necessarily sure how that was going to happen because we had a music teacher already. But thank God, you know, the music teacher that we had at the time, shout out to Mr. Sweeney, he wanted to teach first grade, and I wanted to teach music. So we essentially switched roles. And not only did we switch roles, but they actually made me the grade level chair for the Essentials department. So I was the manager for the PE teacher, the science teacher, the dance and movement teacher, while teaching music at the same time. And, you know, it was really cool. With that, they put me in a teacher leadership program, so they invested, you know, thousands of dollars to send me to these seminars and these workshops so that I can work on my craft as a teacher and to gain more skills as a leader, as a teacher leader. So they flew me out to Atlanta, Chicago, and they flew me out to Texas to do all these different professional developments so that I could become a better leader. And while I was down there in Atlanta, I met this guy. I'm not going to say his name because I don't want to say his name. We're just going to call him Jamal. He was from Ohio. Shout outs to the Golden State Warriors. He's a very well-educated man. He was very charismatic. We didn't have the same classes or seminars, things like that. But, you know, the downtime that we did have, we kind of hung out together when we could. And, you know, I just saw how this guy interacted, and I was just like really impressed by it. And everyone who asked me about my experience there, I would always mention Jamal and say, you know, he was a mover and a shaker. He helped organize a Black Lives Matter rally while we were down there in Atlanta. You know, I saw him interacting with billionaires. I was very impressed by how he carried himself and the interactions that he was able to make. That was Atlanta, and I left there, you know, on fire for the year. I was ready to just grow brains and be the change and do all these awesome things. And I took that back with me to Newark. When I got back to Newark, I was only there for a week back at school because Shaun Jr. had come. And I had to go on paternity leave. So for the first 6 weeks of school, I was out on paternity leave, just being with kid and family. I come back, I'm just easing my way back into things. So, you know, I'm conducting my classes, I'm conducting meetings with the people that I was managing, I'm checking in with Sam, and everything is going pretty well. But as time went on throughout the year, I noticed that the culture in the school had kind of taken a shift in a negative way. That didn't really sit well with me. Kids became very unruly throughout the year. So there were times where I just couldn't teach anything because of the behavioral issues. And, you know, we got this new system of referring kids to, we'll say, the dean's office, where they handle behavioral issues for kids who, you know, can't maintain in your class. And those numbers of referrals were just increasing month by month by month by month. Let's start really talking about to where things started going like really south. Awesome news. Sam, she got pregnant. She was going to be transitioning out of the school so that she can handle her maternity leave, as all moms should. You know, that was her right, and she had our blessing to do that. The cool thing about her maternity leave was that she was going to get Jamal to cover for her. She told us that when she was out on maternity leave, Jamal was going to be handling the day-to-day things. You know, he was going to be coming to the school and learning best practices, getting to know the staff, getting to know everybody, how we do things, and so that when she left, it would be a seamless transition. However, I don't know exactly what happened, but that's what was communicated to us. So Jamal was going to be coming a little bit sooner rather than later. During that time, we were getting ready for spring musicals. That year we did a Winter Wonderland concert series where all the grades were able to do music, not just from a Christmas standpoint, but we did music that highlighted the Jewish community, that highlighted the Islamic community, that highlighted just all cultures of the world. And parents were amazed by it. We started a GoFundMe account because we wanted to renovate our auditorium. We raised thousands of dollars for our kids under my leadership. We're now at the spring musicals, and this is going to be the grand finale of the year. Costumes, everything was going to be original. It was something that we were going to do at Life and make it a continual thing that we would do every year as part of the curriculum. And kids were excited. I was excited. Leadership was excited. Things got really frustrating at work. This one class, they came in and they were just really unruly. I mean, they were giggling and talking and playing around with one another. It took them about 5 minutes to even just organize themselves to come into the classroom. And even when they did that, there were still some kids out in the hallways playing around. This is a class that I had issues with the entire year. And not just me, but this is, you know, my entire team. And we made numerous complaints to administration about the situation, and not much was done about it. There was a lot of pressure on me to get ready for the spring musicals because this was, you know, my crowning moment in my opinion. This was something that we had been building up all year, and we were ready to execute because, you know, this was going to be something that we were going to be doing every year. So I wanted to be the best. You know, I'm a perfectionist, and we weren't getting through the material like we needed to because of behavioral issues. The class was unruly. They come in, I finally get them sat down, and we're ready to rehearse. But, you know, this one boy, he was just getting up out of his seat and talking and playing around, while there were two other boys behind him playing around and talking as well. So I'm using all the teacher moves that I know how to use to get them to settle down and to be quiet and to focus so that we can get this material. Nothing was working. So as I'm trying to get this one boy sat down, two other boys began picking on another scholar. They were picking up things off the floor and throwing it in his hair. I start to address them. Have a seat. You know, stop picking things up. Don't do this. Don't do that. And while I'm addressing them, the boy who I was talking to before that, he starts to walk out of the classroom. So now I've got fires in different areas of the class, and I'm losing control of the classroom. It was a tough spot. So I went to go get the boy who ran out of class to tell him to come back in. And while I was doing that, those two boys who were throwing things in the scholar set, they began playing a game of like tag or something in my class. This is happening in an actual classroom. So not only were they just running around the classroom, they were bumping into other kids. They were stepping on people's fingers. They even got this other girl to get involved. I had enough, and I grabbed them, all three of them, by their shirts, right here by their shoulder, and I escorted them out of my classroom. Even while I had them by their shirts, they were still like laughing and giggling, like everything was all funny. It was all jokes and games until I brought them into their teacher's classroom, and she said that she was going to bring them to the dean's office. And when she did that, the girl who I had, she went nuts. She started crying and saying, "No, don't do this, don't do this." And as they started walking towards the dean's office, I heard her say, "Mr. P choked me. Mr. P choked me." And I looked at her and I said, "What? No, I didn't. Don't even spread that lie." And I went back into my classroom. The class was fine. We got through everything that we needed to get through. But then here comes administration. Someone from the dean's office comes to get me, and they said, "You need to talk to Sam because this girl has just said that you choked her." And I'm like, "What? Why would y'all even believe that? That's a lie. I didn't choke anybody. That's not my thing. I would never do that to a kid." So I went in and started talking to Sam, and she says, "You know, I know your track record. I know you would never do this, but whenever an accusation like this is brought up, we have to report it as a school." This is crazy. I didn't choke that girl. I know what they do on a daily, so I don't touch hands. So the best way I knew how, or that I thought I knew how to get them from one place to let them know that I meant business, a little grab in the collar. No big deal. I've actually seen worse. They said they had to do an investigation. I said, "You know what? Whatever, people have to do their job. I'm going to do my job. I know that I didn't abuse anybody." And we even took it a step further. We contacted all the parents. We were able to reach two of the three parents. And one mom said, "Mr. P, if you need to put your hands on them, put your hands on them." Another parent said, "My daughter said, what? Oh, she's a liar. She's just trying to get out of trouble." So, you know, everyone knows how Mr. P gets down. They know that I would never hurt a kid. They were totally on board with me and the steps that I took in the class because they know their kids. So they launched an investigation. Because of the investigation, I had to go on a performance improvement plan. I was supposed to do some things so that, you know, I would improve myself as a teacher, and administration was going to do something to support me in that endeavor. A week goes by, I don't hear anything. I'm thinking that everything is good. All right, I'd never been in this situation before, so I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what to think. I didn't know what was going to happen. However, Sam had even more complications with pregnancy, so Sam had to go on rest, and Jamal was going to be coming a little sooner than later. You know, I was still thinking that this is my boy. I texted him. I was like, "Hey man, we're so glad to have you come on board. Anything you need, let me know." So the following week, they start talking to people about contracts for next year. And I noticed that I hadn't had to talk about next year, but I was still, you know, carrying the responsibilities of someone who was going to be there next year. So I talked to Jamal, said, "Hey man, I haven't really heard anything about next year. Is there a time that we can schedule together?" He said, "Let's talk." But he had to go, you know, because he takes the train. So I offered to actually take him to the train station so that, you know, we can just talk and drive. In the car, I let him know everything that was going on. The same stuff that I'm telling y'all right now, let him know everything that was going on. After telling him everything that went on, he said, "Sounds like to me that you lost control of the class and you lost your cool and you made some poor decisions." this was kind of like a red flag for me. That's the only thing that you got. Ideally, maybe, you know, holding kids by their shirts is not the thing, but that's the only thing that you got from that. Another red flag, while I was talking, he started to say, well, you know, I hear that you're frustrated, so, you know, maybe, you know, with figuring out next steps, we need to figure out also if this is the place for you. Huh? What do you mean? So I go into, well, you know, this is where I want to be. Yeah, things are frustrating, but, you know, I don't see myself leaving Life Academy. This is where I want to be. And I was just flabbergasted. I was just bewildered by what did I just walk myself into. It felt like I walked into an ambush. You know, I thought that I was going into this conversation talking to someone who I thought was a friend, but turns out he was basically doing recon. So we fast forward. It's time for the musicals to actually start happening. I still haven't heard anything about the investigation. I still haven't heard anything about next year. But I'm so engulfed in music and dancing and costumes and lighting and stage props that, you know, my own family, we're buying a house. I got paperwork to do. I got to do this. I got to sell sneakers. I got to sell bread. I got to do all these different things. So I can only see what's happening in front of me. So I have a meeting with Jamal, and you know, I said, hey man, I really need to know what's going on with next year, because you know, I have a family to provide for, and if I need to start looking for a new job, I need to start doing that ASAP. You know, I got to do demo lessons, I got to do interviews, I got to do all these different things. So he asked me, how soon do you need to know? I said, as soon as possible. And our relationship started to really become a negative one, because I'm thinking that this guy doesn't want me here, and he is just not really responsive, not really answering any of my questions. He can't give me any direction as to what's going on. Not only that, come to find out that Sam is not even going to be coming back to Life Academy anymore, and that Jamal is going to be taking on the principal role full time. So it was the worst news ever, because I don't know this guy. He doesn't know me, but he is the one who basically has the ultimate say-so of my future at this school. And things were going negatively. We have our first musical of the year. It's a second grade musical, and it went off without a hitch. The parents loved it. It was a standing ovation. The place was packed. We raised $1,000 that night, and the kids, they looked good, they sounded good, and everyone was just extremely happy with everything that went on. I was extremely proud of them, and we had a great time. So that was on a Thursday. That following Monday, I get a call from the president of the Parents Association, and she says, Mr. P, these parents cannot stop talking about this musical. They are so excited about all that you're doing for the school and the arts department. They want to give you a gift. I am like, wow, that's what's up, you know? And with all the negative things that were going on at school, this was just the boost that I needed. It made me feel good. You know, I went to work, strutting my stuff. You know, I was happy. I even went there the next morning, and I told my boy Ricky, I'm like, Ricky, guess what? I just think I put myself in a position to where they gotta bring me back next year. They just have to. They're gonna give me $1,000 on top of all the money that we have been raising with the GoFundMe account and the donations. I think they're gonna give us an additional $1,000 to go towards our program. And I don't know any music program, any arts program in the network that was doing stuff that I was doing. I thought that that was going to be positive in Mr. P's favor to help me just keep my job. Because at this point, I haven't done anything to necessarily lose my job. But, you know, in a charter school, you know, if the principal doesn't want you, they don't have to keep you. That's unfortunate. That was at 7 o'clock. I had that conversation with Ricky, and I'm just, again, I'm strutting myself. I'm so happy. And I'm telling everybody, yeah, the Parents Association, they love me. You know, I gotta come back next year. So at around 12:15, I had another meeting with Jamal, and when I go to his office, I see a lady from Human Resources there, And because I am just so engulfed with everything that's in front of me, I don't even put two and two together that, hey, Shaun, you about to be let go. I didn't even think that. So I sit down and, we start talking about next year. He's like, I know you wanted to get some clarity on next year. And what we've decided is that we're not going to renew your contract for next year. We've decided to go in a different direction. And you should reflect on the feedback that you've received from me from this year. He leaves, and it's just me and the human resources lady. And she starts talking to me all about my options after I'm not being renewed. And I am so upset that I don't even hear her. So everything is just like, whatever. Everything is just like, I still don't know what she said that day because I'm just so upset. So I'm pissed, and I leave pissed. I leave this office, I push the door, and it bangs into one of the walls. So they think that, uh-oh, here we go. Here's the angry black man. Let's calm him down before something goes down. But that's not me. I'm a professional. I know where I am. I know what's at stake. However, I am a human being. And those of you who have ever seen me angry, it takes a lot to get me angry. But once you get me to that point, what you need to do is just give Shaun space. Let me get a Pepsi. Let me go get some food. Let me get a Snicker bar because I'm not myself when I'm hungry. All those good things. But this human resources lady, she didn't know me. So she starts following me as I'm walking through the hall to go to the cafeteria so I can get my food. And she starts talking to me. Mr. Purefoy, I need to talk to you. And I'm just like, not now. Mr. Purefoy. So she calls my name about 4 or 5 times and even follows me into the caf while I'm trying to warm up my food. Because all I want to do is just eat, calm down, and teach the rest of my classes. We still have more musicals to come. And as she continues to call my name, I just go, what? I like you as a person, but like right now you need to leave me alone. And then she goes, maybe you should go home because if you continue this way, then we're going to have to terminate you. So I said, I'm good. And then I go, maybe I should go home. Maybe I should go home. So I go home. I tell Key and I tell my mom everything that's going on. It was terrible. It was terrible. That night, I sat on my couch watching some basketball, and I legit shed 4 tears. Because I was so sad. Not so much that I lost my job, but I've got 6 people dependent on me to bring home the bacon and to support them. We have a house that we still are trying to get into, and I need money to do that. And this man just stopped all that. No consideration of what I was going through personally. So I just began to think about and worry about what next. What next? And that was a really kind of depressing night and like next 3 days. But as time went on, I began to just think about, God, what do you want me to gain from this experience? What next, Lord? I really need you to lead me now because I can't depend on this situation. So God just slowly but surely just began to just show me different things and open up different doors. But I also determined within myself that I was not going to just let this happen. I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't do anything worth me being let go. So I wrote a letter. I wrote a letter to Human Resources. I wrote a letter to all the principals, and I sent it to a lot of my friends and colleagues, just letting them know everything that went on. Going back to the professional improvement plan, there were things that I was supposed to do that I actually did. And there were things that Jamal was supposed to do. We signed it and we both retained copies of it. And while I did everything that I was supposed to do, that they asked me to do, he didn't do anything. He was supposed to come and support me with the class. Even after the whole choking accusation, the kids that came back to my class the next week, nobody was in there to help me with the class, and they did the same exact thing. But, I just put it in the hands of the dean's office and just let them do whatever. I felt castrated. I felt powerless because I couldn't do anything, because I was trying to keep my job, which is ridiculous because I never did anything to lose my job. So I wrote a letter, and it pointed out all these things, all the things that I've done, from performances, from high scores and data, from being successful and promoted and being heavily invested by the network, and me being a professional and raising money for the school and doing all these wonderful things. Why should I be let go? Like, we say that we're a team and family. You're allowing this guy to just make this decision that was totally, to me, just bogus. Like, how do you do that? I have a family to provide for. I've put off my own dreams and ambitions to for music to teach first grade. I did all these things for you guys, but you're allowing this to happen. And one of the things that Jamal said to me in our meeting was that, you don't seem like you want to be here. You're not on your A game. One, Jamal has only seen me teach twice. I've been teaching at Life Academy for 3 years. How can you determine what my A game is? You don't know what my A game is. And then he said, when I see you in the hallways, you look sad. You look like, like you don't want to be here. I don't even think I've ever heard you tell a joke. What? We're being judged based on how many jokes we tell per class? What? Is there a quota that I need to fill? What? In my lesson plan, and insert joke here? What? Like, what does that mean? He presumes all these things, but it's law. What? Because I can't get a contract. Meanwhile, there are teachers in our building who've done way worse things than I have. What? People have actually been suspended from work because of some of the actions that they took. What? I was never suspended. What? I've never had a bad review. What? Any issues that I've ever had with administration, parents, or kids, those are things that I've always been able to talk through. And I've done so much for the school, but that wasn't enough. So I wrote the letter, and a week goes by before I hear a response, and it's from a pretty big wig in the network. And she and we have a meeting, and I'm thinking that I'm going to get some answers, because I really just wanted to know why I was being let go and how could this happen after all the things that I've done. And this woman, she and we had a great relationship, I think. A great working relationship. We didn't hang out on the weekends. We didn't summer in Fiji together or anything like that. But, when I saw her, it was always love. It was always a hug. And how are you doing? How's your family? Your kids are beautiful. How are you doing? I gave her Christmas cards, every Christmas. I went into that meeting expecting and thinking that I was going to get, some clarity. And that meeting wound up being a big waste of time. An extreme waste of time, because all she told me was that Jamal was following protocol by not telling you why you weren't being renewed. And I tried to persuade her, but I've got a family, I've been here for 3 years, I've done all these great things, and you guys are just cool with him just letting it go. Like, who's counseling him? Who does he have to answer to when he's making these decisions? And he's like, well, ultimately it's the school leader's decision on who they want to keep. But, we don't disclose information on why we don't renew somebody. And she looked me in my face, did not budge, did not smile, didn't offer any other information than that. And that was like a real big slap in the face. You don't do that to people who've invested into making you look better as a network. When people look back at my career at Life Academy, it's all positives. I've been successful at every stage of my career at that network, and they treated me like crap. And that's not cool. So, I still don't know why I'm not being renewed, but I'm thankful that, I don't depend on man to determine my life or how I'm going to live my life. Once man closes the door, God opens up another one. And God has definitely done that. So, right now, I'm a free agent. I'm on some LeBron stuff right now. I'm saying? I could flex my free agent muscles because, I have 4 different places who are looking to hire me. And all I have to do is just decide where I want to go. And I thank God for that. But this situation has left a real bad taste in my mouth. Everyone who I talk to are over the wall confused and confounded as to how they would let me go. How do you let Shaun Purefoy go? Not to toot my own horn, and not that I'm conceited or whatever, but I do great work. I do an excellent job. I'm a team player. I go above and beyond, and I've done more than a lot of people have done over their career in just 3 years. I guarantee you that. And they played themselves. But like our motto goes, I am living life led by God, and I am loving the journey. Whatever has happened over the course of this year is preparing me for this next step. Of course, I didn't think that it would pan out this way. I thought I was going to be able to leave on my own terms, you know, with me in the school in a great standing. I was thinking that, you know, maybe Xavier or Ariana or Jaden would make it big. You know, we would blow up, and then I would just have to leave in that manner. But, you know, God has something else in store for us. There's something else that I need to learn. There's something else that I need to pick up. So I'm not angry. I was hurt, but I'm not angry. I'm moving on. It's all love. No, I'm not friends with those people. And, you know, it's going to take me a little while to be on some, hey, how you doing? But, you know, it is what it is. I'm still a human at the end of the day. And you just don't do that. So this is your boy Shaun P signing off. Real talk. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Click that red button down below. Let me know what you think. And to all my Life Academy family, the teachers, the students, the parents, Mr. P loves y'all. I'm going to miss you all so much. Keep doing your thing. Keep praying for Jamal as he leads our school, because he's going to need it. And y'all pray for me that God will continue to open doors for me, and that this next step will be my greatest step. Alright, it's your boy. I'm out. Live, let, love.
If you